Hey everyone, this week I want to show you guys how I'm going to make some cute little Valentine's Day hair bows. I will share my template with you guys, but I wanted to show you how I'm going to cut it and put it all together. And as a special treat, I'm going to cut one on the maker and one on the air too. Now I'm cutting the same exact bow, but I'm just going to do it on different machines because they need different tools. So I'm going to show you how we do that. Now I'm going to be using glitter craft foam, regular craft foam, and some Cricut heavy chipboard. And I'm also going to be using felt because I have adhesive foam for the adhesive craft foam, the glitter one I have, it's adhesive on the back. So I'm going to be using felt for the back piece so it's not sticky. So now I'm going to show you guys first how we're going to cut the chipboard. Now if you have the maker, you can use the knife blade to cut the chipboard. It does not work on the Explore machines. With or without the knife blade, it's too thick, so you can only cut it on the maker. So if you have not used the knife blade yet, it looks like this. It has a separate blade and housing, and it does need to be calibrated before you use it. Now you only have to calibrate one time, but we will calibrate it. And I'm gonna do that quickly with you guys in case you haven't done it yet. So I have my bow template already set up on the screen. Now I'm going to give it to you guys like this, all the same color, and then you guys can play around with it if you want to change the colors and whatnot. So I'm going to be cutting this heart, just the heart out of the craft board. It's going to be just a little embellishment. So I'm going to go over here on the right in my layers panel, and I'm just going to change it to brown, so I designate that for chipboard. I know I'm going to do my back piece here in red craft foam, this piece here, oh, I'm sorry, that big piece is going to be pink. I am going to do this smaller piece in red, and I'm going to use this back piece in red. And now because I'm going to cut this piece out of felt, and I want to do it separately from these two red pieces because I'm cutting these out of the craft foam, I'm going to change this one to a different shade. I'm going to make it orange just to have it different. And then you can use whatever you want for this piece here. You can use the pink, you can use the red. I'm going to do red since that's my top piece. So I'm going to change that to the red too. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this all in one cut. And I'm going to show you how that's possible. Now in order to cut the chipboard, we can only have one browser tab open, and Cricut recommends that you use Google Chrome, which is what I always use anyway, so that works for me. But we can only have one tab open at a time, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut just the chipboard, and then we'll go ahead and open another tab to start cutting this file over on the Explore machine. So we're just going to quickly first calibrate this knife blade. We're going to go up here to the top left where you have the 3 lines, and we're going to select our menu and go to calibration. As long as you have the maker, everything will work fine. You're going to click knife blade, and it's going to tell you to insert the knife blade into clamp B, which I already did, and you're going to place printer paper in the top left corner of a blue mat and click continue. And then I have my maker set up via Bluetooth, so it will come up automatically. I'm going to load the mat and click go when it prompts me to. Now what it's going to do is it's going to cut 7 lines. And it's going to ask you when it's done cutting to look at all 7 lines and pick the one that has the cleanest cuts. No overlaps, nothing, just the cleanest cuts. So we are going to go ahead and wait for that to cut, and we'll pull it off the machine and we'll look at it. And then a screen will come up and it's going to ask us which one out of the 7 cuts cut the cleanest, no overlaps or anything like that. And we'll just pick that number and we'll just click a few buttons and it will be ready for us to go. So in the meantime, while that's cutting, I'm going to go ahead and set up our chipboard on our mat. You're going to need a purple strong grip mat. And you're going to take painter's tape, masking tape, a strong tape, and you're going to tape down all 4 sides. Now I have just a scrap piece of chipboard and I'm going to use that. And I'm going to tape it down really securely, especially because it is like a scrap piece. I want to make sure it's stuck down to my mat and it's not going to go anywhere. This stuff is really nice and thick and heavy. It's really, really, really nice. So I'm going to, you can see I cut a heart out of here already. I wanted to make sure it wouldn't slide around all of my mat, and it worked fine because I taped it really well. So we're gonna just tape that down and get it ready to go. And here we go. I'm gonna set it aside. Our cuts are done. So I'm going to eject the mat and I'm going to pull it off. I'm gonna pull it up here and it might be a little harder for you to see, but you can kind of see here. I'm gonna count them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And it looks like cut number, it looks like cut number 3 and 4 cut about the same. It's really hard to tell. It looks like cut number 3 gave us the cleanest cut. So I'm gonna bring you back over here to our screen, and it's going to give you this drop down box here, and it's going to select it. So I'm going to select 3. I'm going to press continue, and then I'm going to go to make it. Now since I want to cut our chipboard first, I'm going to select our brown mat here. And because I want to cut it on the scrap piece, I need to move it where I want it to go. So I'm going to move it in a little bit here, and then I'm going to select continue. I'm not worried about any of our other mats because we're going to come back to those. So I'm going to select my maker. And when it comes up, I'm going to select the Cricut Heavy Chipboard. And you're going to get a prompt to move your white star wheels. I already have mine moved, so I'm going to just show you. So I have Cricut Heavy Chipboard saved to my favorites, and then it gives you this warning to move your star wheels. So I'm going to show you quickly. Right over here are your star wheels. Now you can see on the air, they're here. So we're going to move them to each side. You can move them all to one side. I usually move 2 to one side and 2 to the other. And then we're going to go ahead and load our mat. And press go. Now this is a small design, so it's only going to take about 2 minutes to cut. But when you have a larger design, it's going to take longer. And the great thing about the knife blade is that it tells you exactly how many passes it's going to make and about how much time it's going to take. Now if you're cutting something, this is, like I said, really small, so I don't really need to worry about this. It says, let's see. After it makes 1 pass, it's going to come up on our screen and it tells me it's going to take 2 of 20 passes, 4 minutes remaining. So I'm just going to keep an eye on it and make sure that it doesn't cut all the way through. Now while we do that, I'm going to pull out another purple mat because we will need this for the Explore Machine 2 when cutting the foam. And I'm going to get that ready. Now this is a pretty well used mat because I use it for Chipboard 2. So I'm going to make sure that my craft foam sticks well to it. So I have my craft foam. It's got adhesive on the back. You can see the sticky paper here. So I'm going to just do it in the upper left-hand corner. Now in order for us to cut this on the Explore Machine, we're going to need the deep cut blade. So while I wait for the chipboard to finish, I'm going to quickly change my deep cut plate out here. And I like to keep it in here so it's easily accessible. I have my housing and my blade. So I'm just going to put that in and load that. And I already have it set to custom because that's where we'll find our appropriate settings. So I'm just going to save this mat for when our chipboard's done. Once it's done, I'll come back and I'll show you guys how we don't have to cancel our project. We can just switch everything right around here. Okay everyone, I let the chipboard go for all 20 passes and it is done. I am going to, I pulled it out and I'm just going to carefully kind of pop it out and it cut perfectly. I don't know if you can see that. Focus it. There we go. So I'm going to set this aside and I'm going to remove all this from my purple mat. But while I wait, I'm going to use my rotary blade for the maker to cut my glitter foam. I find it cuts much better. So I'm going to take my knife blade out. I'm going to set it aside. It's very, very sharp. So I'm going to lift up my underneath, grab my cap and put it back on. And then I'll leave it under there. And I'm going to load my rotary blade. I'm going to load my mat. And I'm going to show you how we can switch our settings. You can see it automatically went to our next mat, our pink mat number 3. And I'm going to go right back up here on the top left here where I set my material, and I'm going to just change it. I'm going to change it to glitter felt. I find felt glitter bonded. It's hard for you to see with my lighting. My computer is breaking, so I'm trying to hold it without it cracking. So I'm going to choose the felt glitter bonded. I'm going to switch done, and it automatically tells me I need the rotary blade. So I'm going to go ahead and just cut that. Now, since I have my other purple mat out from my chipboard, I'm going to go ahead and get my next color ready. Now I'll be using my rotary blade for the rest of these because I am doing the felt and the craft foam. I'm cutting it all with the rotary blade. So I don't need to switch out my blade again, which is nice. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to place my red glitter foam down on my mat since that is what I'll be cutting next. Okay, I can unload my mat, put in my red mat, and I'll show you guys how well this cut while the red sheet is cutting. I'm going to carefully peel it back. I say carefully because this mat is super, super sticky, and the backing of this adhesive foam is paper. And then this is stuck a little bit to here, so I'm just going to pull it all up together. I'm going to set this piece to the right of the maker so we can keep track of which ones were cut with the maker and which ones were cut with the air, so that way you guys can see that they both cut really well. So I'm going to go ahead, and I have my red felt already here. And I'm going to cut the felt only with the maker. If you have not already checked out my video on how I cut fabric, and which includes felt, on the air machines, I will link that so that you guys can watch that too and check it out. Okay, now I forgot to double check that everything fit on this mat, and it didn't. So I will have to go ahead and recut one piece, but I'm going to go ahead and go back to how I showed you guys already, how I changed my settings, and I'm going to select felt for the red, for the felt here. And I'm going to go ahead and cut that. Now, because I'm using the maker, the rotary blade, and unbonded fabric, I have the pink mat. So I like having multiple mats so I can switch everything out really easily. And I also like when I use different materials because I have different mats and I can just keep switching all around. I'm pulling this carefully off here. I'm getting some of the paper stuck, but you do need that this strong grip pink mat. Oops, I forget that felt defaults to the fine point blade, and I have to override it and edit my tools. Let me show you guys how to do that. Okay, so felt automatically goes to your fine point blade. Bring down our tools. So I'm going to go to edit tools, and I'll override that to the rotary blade and continue. Now, because I have the maker, it senses your tools. So if you have the wrong one in, it won't cut, and it will let you know, and it'll prompt you to change it. So I'm going to go ahead and finish taking this craft foam off of my mat here, and then I'm going to wait for this felt to cut, and then I'm going to recut this piece that I didn't leave enough room for on the red, and then we'll come back and we'll show you how to do it on the Explore machine. Okay everyone, so I went ahead and I recut my glitter piece on the maker, and I cut an extra felt piece with the maker, so I didn't cut it on the Explore, but again I'll link that video for you if you have the Explore. So I have all my pieces here, and I'm going to go ahead and put them next to my maker, and we're going to go ahead and recut this bow with the Explore machine. So this extra piece here I already cut, so I can go ahead in my layers panel and I can just hide it. And again, we're going to go ahead, we're going to make this red, and then we can go over here and use the color sync feature in our layers panel, and we can go ahead and we can make these other pieces red now. And then this green one left, we will make pink. And for this, I'm actually going to cut this bow out of craft foam, a non-glitter. So I'm going to make it a lighter pink. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to click Make It. Now I have my pink here, my other pink. Now because I already cut these craft foam sheets, I am going to just place them back on my mat, and I'm going to just cut underneath it. So I'm going to move it around on my mat. So I'm going to check my placement here, and I can see that the 2-inch line here, you can't see in this cut here. So I'm going to place I'm going to take my bow here, I'm just going to click on it, I'm going to place it a little below the 2 so I have enough room. And then I'm going to go ahead down to my red sheet, and I'm going to pull that out. And I'm going to check here. I've got it 6 by 3. I think that I can fit 6 across. Yeah, that's not going to fit. So I'm going to go down here. So I can see the 3 line here. This is the 4 line. So I'm going to go a little below the 4. And I know that I can't go wider than 9 inches because that's how wide my material is. So I'm just going to go ahead and line everything up here. I'm actually going to rotate this so it fits here. Okay, I'm going to press continue. I have my devices hooked up via Bluetooth, so I'm going to pick my Explore Air 2. For material, we are going to use glitter craft foam, and then we'll change it to just craft foam for the pink foam that I have. It's non-glitter for the heart. So once my machine connects, we will go ahead and we'll pick that. I'm going to put this aside here, and I'm going to load my mat already. So it's ready to go, and you can see I already have my deep cut blading, and I have my dial set to custom, so it will be ready to go. Okay, now our material list has come up, so we will go over to Browse All Materials, and you can go right over here to All Categories, and you can go ahead right down to Foam, and it will narrow it down right easily for you. I used the craft foam setting. I thought I used glitter, I guess not. And it will say, it will tell us that we need the deep point blade, which we've already loaded. And it also tells you to move the star wheels all the way to the right to make sure your material, it's not going to roll over it, which I did not do. So I'm going to go ahead quickly and slide those over. Okay, so I moved all 4 star wheels all the way to the right, and I'm going to go ahead and press go. Now I already have my pink mat set up here, and I only need a small piece of my craft foam for the heart. So I'm going to go ahead. I only need about a 2x2 piece. So I'm going to go ahead and measure that out on my self-healing mat. And I'm just going to cut this down 2 by 2 since I have a wider piece of material here, and that way I'll be ready to go. So I'll set that aside, and I have my piece already ready. And I'll actually, neat trick that I like to do sometimes, I can put it on this corner here of this mat, and that way when I pull this out I can just switch my mat around and I'm good to go. Now once this is done cutting, we will actually go to the heart mat, and then we will go to the rest of the bow. And then after everything's cut, I'm going to show you guys side by side how the maker cut this foam compared to how the air cut it. And then I will come back and we will do an assembly. So I'm going to double check which mat comes up. It is the heart mat. I will load my mat. I will start cutting, and again, carefully here, I'm going to pull up my pieces. Now this purple mat was much stickier than I realized, so my paper is really sticking to it. So I'm going to carefully pull that up. Okay, so now I've cut our heart out, and we can just turn this right around, load our mat when it's ready, cut that side, and we will be done. All right, I'm going to carefully pull this up this way. All right. So it cut through the foam, but not all the way through the paper, which actually works out a little bit better for us since this paper is really sticking to my mat. So what I'm going to do first is I'll go ahead and I'll pull up this piece here. I'm going to show you the same piece cut with the maker. So the maker piece was cut on the right, and the air piece was cut on the left. They both cut really well. So what we'll do here, because we lost our paper backing, I'm just going to go ahead and line this up on our felt and press it all together. Now I like this craft foam with the adhesive because it just sticks right to whatever I want it to. It makes it a lot easier. I don't have hot glue burning my fingers or any other type of glue everywhere. It goes right on and we're done. So we'll quickly go over here. We're going to pull back our heart here. Now this heart, this foam was a little bit thicker, so it didn't cut all the way through, but that's okay. I have my True Control knife blade here, and I can just go ahead and I can just give it a nice little cut and finish it. This is a new foam that I got, so I didn't realize that it was that much thicker than the adhesive foam, but we'll just, I'll have to play around with the settings on that. Go ahead and pop this out. It's still cut, you know, really well. And then we will go ahead and we will carefully pull this off. This purple mat isn't as sticky as my other one, so I don't have to worry so much about the paper sticking to it. But again, it cut the foam, but it didn't cut the paper. So I'm going to carefully, I'm just going to do it side by side with you guys for this one too. On the left, cut with the Explorer. On the right, cut with the Maker. They both cut really nicely, but I do like that the Maker left the backing on, so I don't have all these sticky pieces floating around until I'm ready to go ahead and assemble my bow. So we have everything here, and then we'll come back in a few minutes and assemble it. Okay, so I have all of my pieces ready to go. Anything that I cut on the Explorer, I have over here, still attached to my sheet. I'm going to be using hot glue. Now, it's not really necessary with the adhesive pieces, but I like to just reinforce it a little because my daughter likes to touch everything and pick at everything and pull everything apart when she can. So I always think that the best course of action is to adhere the heck out of it. So I'm going to go ahead and put these pieces down. Now this is the ones that I cut with my Maker. I already did the Explorer one. And I'm just going to press it nice. Now I'm going to take our pink piece here and take the backing off. Again, this is my Maker stuff. And I'm going to carefully fold it over to the center and just press the middle piece here. We want it to have that popped up 3D look. Now, if you're worried about the adhesive side of this, you can make a pink piece of felt and adhere it before doing all of this and then glue it all down. So it's really all preference. Now I'm going to go ahead and do the red layer. Now I'm only going to show you this for one bow because assembling it is the same for each. I just wanted to show you guys mostly how each machine cut it. Now I'm going to take a tiny bit of glue on the back of this one. And I'm using hot glue, whatever you guys like to do. Hot glue works well for me, especially with the foam. And just press it down until it's really adhered. And it usually doesn't take long. Then we're going to line it up here. And again, little dab of glue on the back here. This is all just to keep it all together. We're going to line it up and press it. Okay, and now we have our piece here. I like to do the adhesive and then glue it down. So I'm going to center it and really press it in there. I'm going to wrap it around the back, and I'm going to put one side down. And now, even though this has an adhesive, I'm going to put some hot glue here to really enforce it, because we are putting all of these really thick layers together of all these different materials, and you want to make sure that it's going to stick really well. And this is a strong adhesive, you'll feel it if you use it, but I like to always extra reinforce. Again, my daughter touches everything, picks at everything. Okay, now you can see we have our cute little bow. Now you can leave it like this, or I'm going to add my chipboard piece, or you can use your craftboard piece. Now I painted mine with some acrylic paint. I thought it would give it just a little more cohesion with our bow. I'm debating if I want to add a little something to it. I thought this was really cute, like a conversation heart, like the candies. So if you wanted to add something to it, you could go ahead and do that. Use some vinyl or whatever, and then go ahead and adhere it. So I'm going to put the glue actually here to make sure it's where I want it to go. And then I'll line up my heart, and I'm going to press it down and hold it really well so I know that it dries. Okay. And now that was a lot of glue, so I can still see it's a little bit wet, but I'll come over here and I'll show you guys quickly. And now we have a cute little Valentine's Day bow. Now, if you have a smaller baby, you can use like a nylon, and I would add that in before you glue this piece around. Slip that in there and glue that in with this, especially since smaller babies can yank at things. For my daughters, I'll probably just do a little barrette on the back, and I'll use some hot glue and I'll adhere it here, but you can use whatever you want, whatever your child is comfortable with. But that's it. Now we have a cute little Valentine's Day bow.